Hello folks, and welcome to a brand new playthrough series. I'm going to be starting a playthrough of Harper's Quest 2 today by Joy Peddler Games. My name is The Lone Adventurer. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel. If you enjoy this video, consider liking it and subscribing, hitting the bell notification icon so you are alerted to future adventures that I put out. Now this one is something I've been building up to for a while, and regular viewers of my channel will no doubt be aware that I've mentioned this game a couple of times in community posts and other videos. And the reason why this game is quite important to me is that it's the first true solo RPG game that I'm going to play, or it's the first, I would say, true RPG game that I'm sitting down to play on my own. I've been building up to it for a little while. I've read various books and bits and pieces and blog articles. I've watched an awful lot of videos of people running solo RPG sessions. Now, I've played a lot of things on my channel which are approaching solo RPGs or have elements of solo RPGs, but none of the games that I've played are what I would describe as a full-blown solo RPG, i.e. replicating the experience of a role-playing game that you would play with other people but on your own. And that's essentially what Harper's Quest 2 does. You can see from the slightness of this tome that it is a basic rule set, a fairly straightforward rule set, which means that I've been able to sort of pass and understand the rules quite quickly. I haven't played it before. This will be my first game. If this doesn't go very well, this video will likely not see the light of day. So if you're watching it, probably it went okay, at least okay. But I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie. This isn't a game that provides you with really rigid mechanics and sort of railroads your experience. It is essentially a truly free-form experience. You're creating a world, you're creating a character, you're going into that world, doing a quest or two, and you've got to sort of make it all up as you go along. So it's exciting. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. And I feel like I'm rambling a little bit now in order to avoid the inevitable opening of the book and actually cracking on with it. One more thing I will say before I open the book to any people who are actually still watching. In preparation for this playthrough, I watched an excellent playthrough by Chaoclypse, which I will link in the description below. Once you've finished watching this one, of course, I would strongly recommend going and watching his playthrough, as it is very accomplished and confident and very enjoyable. So go check that out as well if you want to see more Harper's Quest when you finished watching mine. There's no messing around in this book. First page, we have got instructions for creating the quest on which your character will be going. So we've got 6 tables here that we roll on in order to generate ideas around the quest, and then we will sort of smush those ideas together in order to give us our starting point. We've then got incredibly brief instructions on how to generate the quest area that you're going into in order to complete the quest. It could be a dungeon, it could be areas in a forest, or areas in a city, or any sort of self-contained location in which you will, explore and encounter monsters and gather loot and all that good stuff. And then we're straight into creating a character. This video, I think what I'm going to do is create the quest that we're going on, work that out, then create our character, and then we'll see where we are, and as I tend to do probably after we've done those things, we'll have a little break and come back in order to start the adventure proper. So I think I'm just going to move aside this character sheet. I've got a bit of blank paper here on which we can make some notes about our quest. So let's roll on these tables and see what we end up with. So we've got the goal table. Probably you can't see that with the picture in the background, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options on each table, so we'll roll a d6, and that will give us something that will drive our quest. 6, discover. Discover. And then the what? Haunted. Oh, okay. Where? 1, forest. A haunted forest. Awesome. And then we're going to have a quest giver. Family. And a why. Honor. And finally a boss type. 2 gives us a beast. Discover, haunted, forest, family, honor, beast. So I suppose the situation we've got here is we live, let's say, in a small village with our family, and a member of my family has discovered that a nearby forest is haunted. I'm trying to work out how honor might come into it. Alright, so I paused the video so I could, without time pressure, have a little think about our quest and how it's going to go. And I decided that my father and grandfather, we're a family of woodcutters who live in this little village, they went off to the forest to cut wood, except they went to a part of the forest that they haven't been to before. They went in further than they ordinarily went, perhaps in search of the wood of a particular tree or something like that. Now, they encountered some kind of ghostly entity, and my father was taken away by this mysterious entity and has become some kind of zombie or walking dead. Now, I'm going to need to go and save my father because the honour of our family depends upon it. We can't have the patriarch of our family wandering around the forest in some kind of zombified form. There's some kind of beast, obviously, because our keyword there was beast, and by taking out this beast, that will release my father from his zombified state. So my beast is going to be, I've decided, a Cyclops hag who can control spirits and humans alike. I went for a Cyclops hag because I figured a Cyclops fits the bill with beast, and a hag or a witch would be a creature who could control the spirits, be behind the haunting of this forest. And I was flicking through a 4 Against Darkness book, the Twisted Final Fights, and I came across this picture of a Cyclops hag, and that struck me as a good idea for our boss. So, I mean, in 4 Against Darkness, the hag comes with all sorts of different rules. I'm not going to be paying much heed to all of that stuff. We might pick some kind of special rule that will govern the behaviour or something about the boss, but we're not quite there yet. Not quite, but there you go. We've got our initial outline, and so our quest is going to be going into the haunted forest, attempting to save our father, killing the Cyclops hag in order to release him from his zombified state and bringing him home. That's the quest. So it says here, quests should be more than 1 area or dungeon. A short quest can be 2 to 3 areas or dungeons, a long quest 3 to 4, and an epic quest 5 or more. So I suppose I need to decide what the different areas are going to be ahead of time, or maybe do it as I go. I think we're going to make this a 2 area quest, so a short quest, just 2 areas. And our first area, and this is starting to sound a little bit like Chaoclypse's playthrough here, because our first area is a forest, but that was inevitable really, because that's what I rolled. And then the second area, I suppose, shall we say that this Cyclops hag lives in a system of caves? So our second area will be caves. Now we need to decide how many rooms are going to be in these areas. So we roll 2d6 for the total rooms and then add one final room for the boss. So let's see how many rooms or areas, how many sections we're going to go through in the forest. 7, that seems like a nice sensible number. And in the caves, 8. 8 plus the final boss room. Now we need to create an adventurer. And let me grab my cup of tea. Hang on a second. There we go. Tea grabbed. It is way too hot to start drinking now, but at least I've got it close at hand. So no classes. So there's no classes. You don't have to choose whether you're going to be a wizard, a dwarf, an elf, and that sort of thing. I think do I want to be like a wizard or a barbarian? I don't think I do really. I think I'm just a regular guy. So we're not going to have a class, and that's fine, because you don't really have to do that stuff if you don't want to. So we're going to roll for our attack ceiling. Now your attack ceiling is the number you must roll at or below to hit your enemies. So we're going to roll 4d6 and remove the lowest number. Just need to grab a 4th dice. Alright, so remove the lowest number. Oh, that's high, isn't it? Whew. Okay, so that gives me 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. An attack ceiling of 16, and your maximum was always going to be 18, wasn't it? So that is high. So that just means I probably want to be a fighter. I want to be someone who is going to focus on fighting. Hit points are next. This is the damage that you take before you're out of the fight. So we do exactly the same thing. A little bit lower this time. That's okay. So hit points is 6, 11. So max hit points of 11, and we've got 11 of them left. That does sound a bit low, but I suppose it could be a lot worse. We've got 3 attributes: strength, dexterity, and wisdom. We're going to roll 3d6 for each attribute at a time. You don't get to swap them over or adjust them. They are just what you get is what you get. So starting with dexterity, I'll explain what these are as we go through. Dexterity is your fidelity with tools, ranged weapons, sleight of hand, aiming, climbing, sneaking, lock-picking, and pickpocketing. So anything that sort of requires skilled physical movement or precise physical movement. So our dexterity is going to be not high, could be worse. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've got dexterity of 9, and I think all of these are roll under, so the higher the better. When we try and do a dexterity check, we'll be rolling to see whether we roll at or below of our dexterity number. So that's dexterity. Next up is strength. Strength is all about bashing, blocking, stomping, swinging, lifting, pulling, pushing, and affinity with melee weapons of all kinds. Not too shabby, that's good. 11. And finally, wisdom. Searching, distraction, perception, persuasion, charisma, deception, camouflage, speechcraft, and magic. Brain stuff. All your general brain stuff. Rolling quite high here, aren't I? So that's 13. That's good, because magic looks cool in this game, and oh, I'm filling that in the wrong place, aren't I? This is for my eventual companion. You can have companions, and when you get companions you jot down details about them there. I'll just move that info over. So next up we've got money and items. Currency lets you purchase goods, advance skills and upgrade weapons. Oh, how do you advance skills? Ah, you can up your stats. Ah, okay, I hadn't spotted that bit yet. So we roll 3d6 and multiply the result by 10 for starting currency. Oh, that's low, but I think I was owed a low roll, wasn't I? So I'm not going to be able to buy much. So that gives us 70 gold pieces to start off with. That doesn't allow me to buy anything at all. Ah, no, we do get something. Purchase items in between quests, in towns or villages. For starting items, roll d12 2 times on item shop. So I guess, does that mean I just get 2 items without paying for them? Or do I have to buy them? But it says, and then grab 2 healing potions for free, which implies the other items are not for free. So I'm just going to get 2 healing potions. You roll d10 plus 2 healing effect. Right, so that's items, rewards, advancement. We don't have to do that stuff. Okay, so we need to choose a weapon. Damage depends on the quality, not the specific weapon. You purchase your starting weapon. Ah, so I have to spend some money on my starting weapon. Ah. And then magic would also get some spells. I think everybody gets spells. You don't have to be a magician specifically. This is just set in a world where magic's around and everyone knows a little bit of that magic stuff. But weapons first. We need to purchase a starting weapon. Since I'm from a family of woodcutters, I think it would make sense for my initial weapon to be an axe, and it makes sense that my axe is a little bit damaged because that's all I can afford for 40 gold pieces. So I'm spending 40 of my gold pieces on an axe, which is a melee weapon, and a damaged weapon allows you to do d4 damage. So I'm going to have to grab a d4 in a second. So that's that. What about magic? Magic is powerful. Even a weak cast, rolling above wisdom, causes damage. Rolling below wisdom results in a successful cast, which causes moderate damage. Rolling exactly your wisdom is an ultra cast, causing devastating damage. Starting characters get 1 spell by rolling d6 on the spell list, in addition to distraction, which is a spell that everybody gets. Okay, so we get to cast spells 3 times per day or per area / dungeon. And you can acquire magic scrolls by the looks of things. Okay, so let's roll to see what spell we're getting. 4. Ice Blast. Ice crystal shards freezes objects instantly to the point of extreme fragility. Alright, so we get to do some damage using an ice blast. That's nice. Where do I put my spells? We're almost there. There is one more thing that we can do before we start. So one more thing that I'm going to do in this video is create some enemies. So this is not a game that comes with a bestiary of all the different creatures that you're going to encounter. You have to make them up as you go. So I'm going to create 4 different enemies. You always have to have 4 different enemy types covered. You need to have some underlings, some warriors, some elites, and some bosses. So your boss is your boss is your boss. It's the final animal or creature that you're encountering. So for us it is the Chaoclypse hag. And then we just need to quickly bosh out the other ones. So this does not take very long. Now you can optionally, it says here, you could add an ability or special feature to enemies if you prefer. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I'll have a little think about that one. So I think that our underling, our basic kind of monster, is going to be some giant spiders. And then all you do is you roll some dice to generate their stats. So the giant spiders are going to have an attack ceiling of 2d6. That's quite high. That's bad. That's 10. So if they roll 10 or less, they hit me. That's not great. What about HP? Ooh, that is low. So they've only got 1 HP each, which means they're going to be quite easy to kill, which is good news considering how good they are at attacking. Oh, and 4 damage, so they can potentially do 4 points of damage to me. So that's my underling. Then we've got to have warriors, so these are worthy foes that offer a challenging fight. So I think these are going to be zombies, so possessed, animated humans. So I was just thinking, ordinarily you think of zombies as dead, but I don't want them to be dead in this because my father is one and the aim is to find him and release him from the spell of the ogre hag. So these zombies are sort of like possessed people. Let's have a look at what their attack ceiling is going to be. 2d6 plus 2. That's really low. 3, 4, 5. Which I guess almost makes sense because zombies sort of shamble around and aren't very, very quick, are they? So they're not going to be that good at attacking. This is their HP, and that is 6, 7, 8, so they definitely last a little bit longer. And I've just realised that we don't actually roll the damage dice now. You'd roll that's the dice that you roll every time that particular enemy would cause you damage. So underlings are 1d6, warriors are 1d8. Our next ones up are elites. And so the elites are the strongest non-boss enemy, highly trained and deadly. Necromancers, dark knights, captains of the guard, things of that nature. So who are we going to have? What creatures are we going to have in this forest? Some kind of spirit or ghostly enemy. I was just having a look at the encounters in the sandbox generator, but that's not really doing it for me, quite frankly. Alright, I've reached a decision. I wanted something else that's sort of a foresty type creature, but also something that had a sort of a ghostly or not of this world aspect to it. So we're going for demonic boars. So the ogre hag has cast some spells. That means that some of the boars that live in the forest, quite large boars I would imagine, have been possessed by demons. And those are the hag's last line of defence before you get to her. These demonic boar are elites, which means for their AC we roll 3d6. Well, that is very high. 14. So when they attack, I think we roll 3d6, and if they roll under 14, then they hit. Okay, then for the HP of the elites, we roll 2d6 and add 2. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they have 10 HP, and they do d10 damage. So every time they successfully hit me, they do 10 points of damage, and my HP is 11. So I think probably if I encounter one of these demonic boar, chances are I'm going to be looking for a way to escape without fighting, and if I end up fighting them, probably it'll be the last thing I do. So I think that's almost everything. I think the last thing to do is to come up with a name for our character, and I've got Table Fables by Madeline Hale here, and this has got a random name generator in it that I'm going to use. So let's have a look. Male names. Here we go. Well, this is okay. So this is a D100 table. Let me just grab some more dice. Right, got my various dice here. So let's roll to see what our name is going to be. 32 gives us Fendin. Fendin. Not sure I like Fendin. I might drop the next one, Ferrick. Let's be Ferrick. So there we have it. We are Ferrick, who is surprisingly adept with an axe. He's the son of woodcutters, so maybe actually that makes sense. And he is going to head off into the haunted forest in order to save his father, and we'll do that in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. If you've made it all this way, please do comment and let me know what you think of my setup and whether you're anticipating the adventure ahead. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.